Hello everyone and welcome back to the Belgian Beer Brothers channel. Cedric here in Antwerp, and I am in the mood for a springy, summery beer. And you guys know that I love I love me a good Saison or farmhouse ale for our American friends. So I dove into my cellar and dug up the Saison deux Houblons by Trois Monts, or more accurately by Brasserie Saint-Sylvestre in the north of France. The Trois Monts Saison deux Houblons is a newer version of the original Trois Monts Saison. As the name suggests, it's a classic seasonal beer brewed with two variations of fresh local hops, and in true Saison fashion it should be quite dry, thirst quenching, and overall have a quite pleasant full mouthfeel. Now, I bought this beer on a climbing trip to the Bourgogne region in France and actually came across this little coffret de dégustation, or a tasting box, put a picture up here, in a supermarket. I didn't have time to visit a brewery, that's still on my wish list. But the box holds 4 beers, or rather 4 bottles of 3 different beers. And important to me, the classic Trois Monts tulip glass. I didn't have this glass in my collection yet, so... Now, this tulip glass actually really fits the region perfectly. As you can see, this glass kind of resembles a La Chouffe glass, but it stands a bit taller on its foot, sort of like a wine glass, which is also fitting for the location. And the tulip shape is very common in the beer world, or in the beverage world altogether, because it provides a rather large surface area while retaining aromas in the glass and actually really pushing the volatile components towards the nose while drinking, emphasizing the surrounding scents. See this as a large version of the copita for Porto. So with all that being said, let's demonstrate that and fait la dégustation. Let's have a taste. Now, looking at this bottle here, it does have the classic Trois Monts window-shaped label. In this case, white with an orange detail, and all the details are in orange, just like the name and the Deux Houblons. The Trois Monts logo is still in black. Again, a very classic, a very sober use of 3 colors. Not a branded bottle cap, but nonetheless a white bottle cap in matching the rest of the graphic design. Now, this is a very classic Saison, or it's supposed to be, and it is brewed with barley and wheat. Building that tower up there. So I'm very, very curious for the taste and the overall feel of this beer. Now, it is quite active, quite carbonated, a bit more than I anticipated, but nonetheless, we do have a beautiful head of foam there. So, 6.5% ABV, brewed with barley and wheat. Yeah, very curious. A lovely golden yellow, strawish colored beer with some off-white foam, a nice thick head of foam, some medium to large bubbles. Smells rather dry, a bit hoppy, a bit spiced as well. Now, I didn't find any spices on the ingredients list, so let's check that out. Nope, no spices here, but they do say à la fois riche et floral, so rich and floral. See, French isn't that hard. So yeah, I am very, very curious. Cheers. Ooh. Honestly, I didn't really know what to expect, but this taste is not entirely what I expected. Um, Although this is a pleasant surprise, it is relatively bitter. Yeah, it is a bit bittersweet, but absolutely on the bitter side. It is quite dry, which is actually a bit in contrast with that slight sweetness that is still left there. I don't know if this is intentional, but it is, yeah, quite pleasant actually. I don't often say this about sweetness in beers, but it is. Um, it is very hoppy. It does taste a bit spiced. I do get a bit of coriander in there, which is, by the way, not in the beer. But I do get that idea. Might be psychosomatic, of course, but this is all the hops talking, and I think that it is a nice modern twist of double hopping the beer with very fresh hops. But yeah, it does work. They did make it work. Now, I've read some reviews online, and some reviews were very clear and some reviews were very out there. Some said it is a beer with a lot of character, and some said that this beer absolutely lacks any character. So of course this is all subjective. Even everything I tell you guys is subjective. Well, not the ABV and the ingredients list, but you catch my drift. This is all about taste, and as they say in France, des goûts et des couleurs, on discute pas. But yeah, I kind of do like this. I do get the reviewers saying it lacks character. On the other hand, I also get the guys that say this is very characterful, in that sense that it is quite bitter. It really, yeah, it's an explosion of taste in some way. But on the other hand, it is quite, how can I say this? Very monotone, very monochromatic. So it's very nice. It is very well brewed, very good tasting. It's not necessarily complex, and I think that a lot of people confuse complexity with character. Because in my humble opinion, this beer actually does have a lot of character. What to do with this? Now, I must immediately say that Trois Monts, although being one of the better breweries in France, one of my favorite breweries in France, they are quite inexpensive. I don't know from the top of my head, but I do believe that they have beers, yeah, under €2 for a bottle, which is very moderately priced for the quality that you get, because they are very high quality. I actually got to know them with a 75 centiliter bottle gifted to me by a teacher of mine, and I think he paid like €3 including import. So it's like a €2.20 bottle, or like $3 bottle. And for the quality that we get, that is absolutely cheap as hell. So if you guys are ever in France and you get your hands on one of these beers by Trois Monts, be it the general range or the heritage series, yeah, always good. Like I said, because of the shape of the glass, when I drink, you see that the aroma gets pushed into my nose. All because of this little bump in here, which actually, yeah, heightens the experience of tasting the beer. So the choice of glass always contributes to your tasting, and a lot of people actually forget about that. I see people tasting quadruples in Pilsner glasses. I see people tasting actually anything in lemonade glasses, or please just don't do that. At least if you don't have the right glass, as I often don't, just pick a good glass, one that you enjoy drinking out of, and one that actually contributes to your tasting experience. Kind of like this, or a La Chouffe glass, or a Trappist glass, each and every one of those very common beer glasses. Now I must say that the aftertaste of this beer is quite thin, a bit less than I expected. But on the other hand, the bitterness of the beer, the dryness of the beer, lingers on the back of the tongue and in the nasal cavity. So yeah, it's quite weird. So there's not much aftertaste, but you do get that dry, bitter feeling, and it is absolutely thirst quenching. I love it. So at this price point and at this amount of quality, I would say, if you're thirsty, if you're hot, and you can find this on a terrace in the north of France, order one of these, or get it at the supermarket or at the brewery. Just go for it. If you like Saisons, if you like farmhouse ales, just go get it. This is like a light, slightly spiced version of a Tank 7 for the Americans. Yeah. Now, to score this, I actually have no idea. Because it's very hard to be objective in your favorite beer style. We often tend to punish minor details too much if we like the style but don't really like the beer. On the other hand, we also like to put it on a pedestal because it's our favorite style. So I'm struggling to objectively score this beer here, but I would call it a 3.5. Yeah, it's not the best I've had. It is a lovely beer. It is a well-brewed Saison. It is a modern take on a Saison, maybe a bit too modern for my taste. Nonetheless, very well brewed, very nice, a very lovely beer. Like I said, I adore this color. I love the smell. Although it smells a bit sweet, but I like the smell. Let's keep it at that. And yeah, it is a refreshing beer amongst Saisons. It might be a bit sweeter than the rest, but since the bitterness still prevails, yeah, 3.5. So, that all being said, as usual, if you guys like this video, let me know down in the comments. Leave a little comment, hit that thumbs up. If you want to see more, subscribe, hit the bell icon. You'll get notified whenever I upload something, which should be every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6 p.m. Local time here in Antwerp. And yeah, guess I'll see you guys again next week, either with a brewery breakdown, a brew review, or yeah, with a request, because I've seen some requests in the past few weeks, and yeah, I'm gonna honor them. There were some very good questions in there. So, cheers you guys. On to the next one.